Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even like I got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I can see Dan Lanning sitting in his office, rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, bring it on. You're just giving me juice.
I think you could be the type of team that has guys that excel in certain things. You don't need somebody that's great at everything. You need to be able to put guys in position where they're going to succeed.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Hamill.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on, apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's a Schwar bomb. That's a man right there hitting that ball.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high atop the Delta Tri-on the Crystal Palace of the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport. This is the fastest 60 minutes sports talk. Why is it the fastest 60 minutes of sports talk? Because we do more with 60 minutes than most do with 3 hours. Thanks for tuning in to the Little Danny and Justin radio program. Yes, Daddy's back again. I work 3 days. I'm off 3 days. I might work another 5 days this stretch. Who knows? Just stick around and find out, friends. Great show for you today. But before we get into that, let me introduce my tag team partner. We call him Baby J. It's Justin Grossweiner. What up, boy?
Well, Danny, you'll never guess who I ran into before the show.
I won't. I will
You're
not
not going to, but I think that I have a good hint for you.
The Godfather, yes. Matt Dompe from the Eugene Emeralds.
I did.
Nice.
Right before the show, before I got here.
Were you getting a
Dairy
coffee?
Mart. Yeah.
Oh, were you getting that rocket fuel that you use to try and...
My daily energy drink, which I'm trying to kick, but I'm unable to do that.
Do you realize how bad that is for you?
Yes. And I do it every day anyways. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. But it was good seeing him. I said hello.
Yeah, and
he was in a rush, so I didn't get the chance to talk to him too much. But always good to see the Godfather.
And big news in the Giants organization as they lure Tennessee coach Tony Vitello away. He's going to be the new manager of the Giants.
How about that?
He's been to 3 out of the last 4 years they've been in the College World Series. Not surprising. That he's taken this jump, very
you
successful.
You think so? Because nobody's ever done it before.
So here's an interesting little fun factoid, is that one of the guys I was with this weekend, we call him, is the music still going or is that me?
That's you.
Sorry, that's me. Sorry. I got to turn the volume down on my computer. I'm so sorry about that. The guy's name is Dan Day. He's a sergeant in the Cleveland Police Department. He's got a friend whose son committed to Tennessee, and they were on the phone yesterday. And it's like, I think Coach is gone, and if Coach is going to go in Tennessee, he's not going to Tennessee anymore. So there's going to be a ripple effect.
Oh, definitely.
And I'll tell you, it's a much longer jump. I think out of all of the college ranks to the pros, I think baseball is the hardest one to do. When you think about it, football, fairly common. You get a great name college coach, go out and coach in the NFL. Basketball, the same thing. I mean, although their success rate and level sometimes wildly varies.
Right.
But you don't hear about this all the time where a big name in the college baseball ranks jumps right into the manager's chair. It's normally somebody... Well, okay. Is it never happened before?
I think it's never happened before. I think somebody that doesn't have any professional playing experience. It might have happened with somebody that has been a college coach but has played in Major League Baseball. But I believe it's the first time that somebody that has never played in the major leagues and that does not have that is making that jump, basically, which is crazy.
So
it's very interesting at the very least.
Buster Posey, who is the new baseball president of operations for the Giants, he's rolling the dice here.
Absolutely.
Guy's 47 years old. He is regarded as one of the best college coaches in baseball. And
I just wonder.
So Nick Hundley, which you probably know that name, former, I think he played for Cubs for a half second, but former San Francisco catcher Nick Huntley,
Right, yeah.
he withdrew from consideration. He was actually Posey's first choice. They also interviewed Kurt Suzuki, who actually landed the job with the Angels. And he came from within that organization, so they promoted up. They also were looking at Vance Wilson and Baltimore Orioles former manager Brandon Hyde. So, I mean, they did their due diligence, and again, you are taking a chance, not on an unknown quantity though.
No,
not at all.
No. And Brandon Hyde's a good coach, by the way. I mean, he was I think he was the pitching coach for the Cubs for a long time.
Okay.
But somebody that's like a very experienced option. So that's like very much the safe. Probably the fans wouldn't have been super duper happy about it, but it would have been kind of the, you're getting a major league manager for sure. So this is taking a swing, which I don't always hate, but whenever there's a first like this, and you talk about the college coaches in football and basketball that go to the NFL, I mean, we've seen it completely fall flat on some coaches' faces. I mean, Nick Saban couldn't get it done in the NFL. And of course, he's one of those guys. I think he's a great college coach that it makes sense why he doesn't have that success in the NFL. It's kind of the same reason why I don't necessarily know why people think Dan Lanning would be a great NFL coach, which I don't necessarily, I'm not out on it, but I mean, he seems like he's a great coach because of what he can connect with these college level players and his youth and sort of that level of connectivity. But
it's just because it's a hot name. That's all.
No, I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, I just think it's interesting how you're taking a guy that I don't know why, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I don't know why the players are going to respect him, like based on what he's done at the level that they're at, if that makes sense. Like, you think that...
I'm pondering that for a second, just because, by the way,
do you think Rafael Devers is going to, like, respect a guy that hasn't been at that level?
I think it's all about the approach.
Maybe.
You come in and you cannot treat every player the same way. That old adage of, well, I'm going to treat everybody the same way no matter...
No.
That's such... hockey is what it is.
Yes.
So, getting back to my... So, your theory is interesting. I think that a manager, especially in baseball, and actually most pro sports, are put at an immediate disadvantage because you're ordering around guys that are making more than you as well. So, I mean,
But isn't that the same in other sports as well?
That's what I'm saying.
Not in college, obviously.
Well, no, not sometimes. Well, wait a second. There might be some that are making as much as
school and what sport,
right? And an assistant coach at some of the big schools,
that's true.
They're not making what the quarterback is
fair.
every year.
Yeah, I think there's not as many people making as much money as Dwayne Underwood for Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mean Bryce Underwood?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Bryce Underwood.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I want
Dwayne Underwood. That's a club minor leaguer. I don't know why.
No, I thought you maybe were referring to Blair Underwood, the actor, who I did not see this weekend. But I still think the whole respect thing comes with how you approach. And so if he's going to bring that culture in and say, guys, I don't know everything, but I had a pretty good run at the collegiate level. This is still the same game. The fences are still pretty much the same. You still have to employ the same strategies. You do. The game is not wildly different at the pro level as it is at the collegiate level. Equipment is a little bit different. Okay.
Certainly is.
Okay.
Some wood bats.
All right. Okay. But a lot of these guys are coaching wood bat leagues as well. So I think,
to be fair, I don't really know much
about
about him as a coach, and I couldn't tell you what makes him special. So maybe those things will translate. I do think that looking at it from a sort of wider view of this team and where they are in the division, and you have the Dodgers that are sitting there, and you have the Padres who have all these stars, and the Giants have been one of those teams that they can't quite figure it out. They can't get that star, and you're in the same division as the Dodgers, who are basically the super team who are going to be around for 10 years. So I think it's an interesting strategy. And my first initial gut reaction is I don't think this is going to work.
Okay. Well, so if you want to take a look at a parallel path, look no further than Brewers manager Pat Murphy, who started longtime collegiate coach, and he spent 25 years, now a little bit longer in the tooth, before he got called up. And he joined the Padres as a minor league manager, and that's the biggest difference between Vitello's path and Murphy's path, is that he was 8 years the Brewers bench coach before taking over. But he spent a long time in college baseball and moved, and now is in one of the premier jobs in Major League Baseball.
Of course, the former Emerald as well.
And former Emerald, yeah. I was going to bring that up at the end of that. So very good. Nice catch.
Thank you.
By the way, you can follow us, Danny and Justin, on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also pod us wherever you podcast. Just look up Danny and Justin or The Fastest 60 Minutes, and we're right there at your fingertips. Still didn't see Friday's show, by the way. I still wanted to listen to all the bets.
It's there.
Friday. Okay, then you show it to me
I
after
will
the
show
show.
it to you after the show.
Because I looked, and I actually went into the back door and looked at our little secret room where I can see where it's getting uploaded, and I didn't see it there either.
All
so
right.
I'm either got to clear my cache or something like that. I struggle with some of
the technology.
The technical. Well, some of it, not all of it. So on the program today, we're going to have Mustang Isaac Streeter joining us, Portland Tribune. I want to ask him, and I don't think it's a possibility, but I'm going to throw this out to him, and I want you to ponder this as well. If Rob Akey runs the table and wins 5 straight games as the interim at Oregon State, does he get serious consideration to take over the full-time job? Because he is way upside down as a head coach. He's like 21-50 as a head coach. So I don't think he might have the pedigree that Oregon State is looking for, and especially going into the revival of the Pac-12. But I do think it's an interesting working theory, because if he can do something with this team over the last 5 games, and it started with a pretty convincing win this past weekend, then why wouldn't you give him serious consideration?
Because
I know you're going to give me the contrarian argument here.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like he's the right guy. I mean, it seems like you need to have.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, no,
I'm just saying, does it make Scott Barnes pause for a second and say, well, this guy pulled the right levers and did something that I was hopefully going to see from Trent Bray and couldn't get from him?
I think that you consider it, but then you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to take the emotion out of it, and of course, there's going to be players that are going to, if that happens, they're going to buy in, and they're going to have players that are going to say, yeah, we want this guy, and we could see the vision going forward with him. But I think that Rob Akey, it just seems like there's only a certain level you could get to with a coach like that, and there's sort of a ceiling on what he's able to do, and with his track record, and I think what we've been talking about, well, when you're here, about when
nice. That's a very nice subtle dig. I am here though.
Yes, you are, and we enjoy you being here.
Thank you very much.
It's
my
name. And Justin
I was going to say
program.
that's the reason why my name's in the title of the show.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
But I think that you're looking for someone that's a young coach that can, whether it be somebody that is a long-term person or somebody that I think you don't mind if it's a stepping stone at this point, as long as you can usher the Beavers into the new Pac-12. It's such a critical hire that I think that if you go, I don't think you can go safe here, basically. I think going Rob Akey is going very safe, and you know what you're getting out of it, but I think that's what you did with Trent Bray, too.
You know what, and I hope that whoever is in the room to help make the decision, and I 100% support and agree with Tim Ewis, the former tight end from the Beavers, saying you need to get a group of former players involved somehow in the search committee for this. Now,
you have Brandon Cooks.
Okay, well, but what I'm saying, get some of those guys together, and now most Power 5, most big schools, they hire a firm to do their search, and they present candidates.
And I believe that's what's happening with the Beavers.
And that's normal, but you can have another layer to that with the players.
Right.
Because you are at it, and we've talked about it on this program plenty of times, you are at a tipping point of really disenfranchising the fan base in Corvallis if you don't get this hire right.
No, absolutely.
Jonathan Smith walked out the door, and there was probably a reason for that, and he saw writing on the wall about what the struggles were going to be. Trent Bray was a good soldier. He stuck behind, not necessarily wanting the job, according to reports that are widely being circulated. And now after a season and a half, he's out. And I've heard names like Sean Mannion being tossed out there because he's a coordinator now. It's like, I don't think they can make a sentimental hire by going after and grabbing another former player. Now, Jonathan Smith elevated the program. He did a great job with what he had. He beat Oregon, I think, 2 out of 3 years. And so I think there was value there. But then when he literally wiped the cupboards clean when he went to East Lansing, Oregon State has not recovered from that. They still haven't recovered from it. And they need to probably start with, and again, if you've listened to the program or the podcast, go back because you'll hear it, strong FCS, successful coach at that level. Doesn't have to be. I heard the name Ed Orgeron, and I shuddered a second.
Wait a minute, hold on.
You can't do that.
I thought you were going to come on this program and talk about how you thought it was a good move.
If you want publicity.
Yeah. No,
he's been out of the game for 4 years. You corrected me on that. I said 5 to 7. You said 3, and we landed at 4. I think, I don't know. One, I don't know what kind of desire he would have to do this long term, and why would you put together something patchwork? You want to have somebody that's going to be here 5 to 7 years, you hope, at least,
yeah.
with the transitive nature of college athletics and the head coaches not having any kind of loyalty to. I mean, look what's happening across the landscape of college football right now. Guys that were in semifinal playoff games last year have lost their jobs. Guys that have had a bunch of money thrown at them for a lot of years in big SEC schools are getting tossed out the door. I think Dabo Swinney's probably gone after this year at Clemson, and it might be a mutual thing. It's like, you know what? You don't like me anymore. I don't like you anymore, and I'll go someplace else and start fresh.
Well, for Dabo, I think as much of anything is that the Clemson way, if you will, I don't think it works anymore. And then that's a past of
What is
college
the
football.
Clemson way?
Not doing transfers, and I think they've sort of embraced it.
Mike Gundy proved that you can't do that. That's why he's out of a job.
But I think that what Oregon has done is sort of the prime example, and Ohio State too, but Ohio State's Ohio State. But I think Oregon has taken this next step in the new college football world because they've utilized the transfer portal in such a way where they don't just overuse it, they selectively use it, but they still understand that it's about the recruiting when it comes down to it. The high school recruiting is where you make your bread and butter, and then you use the transfer portal as the so much of it's NIL though too. It's not just like
it's the arms race with money.
I don't think that Clemson is sort of on top of that. Just going back to the Beavers real quick.
Sure.
I think there's 2 things that I think are very important with this head coaching hire. I think that you would be benefited greatly. Not only would it be, I think that getting somebody that's not a part of the program or hasn't been close to the program actually would be very good for this program. Somebody that can come in and say, hey, look, here's what I did at this place. I'm going to do that here. And you can sell that to the fans, and you can sell that to recruits as well. I don't think you're going to be able to sell Rob Aiken, hey, this is what the Beaver way is, and this is what we've done. Like, I think that you got to just freshen it up and do something new. And I think that it doesn't have to be, like we've talked about, a coach that has necessarily
a glowing
track
pedigree
record or anything like that. Yeah, exactly. But I think that it would be, as well, really good to have somebody that when they take the microphone and you hear them talk, you can really believe in what they're saying. You need someone that's going to be a face for this program.
Well, I will say that Trent Bray said a lot of the right things in the offseason.
But he wasn't great with the media.
He wasn't great. He got better over year. Listen, he was a coordinator.
I know, but think about the difference between somebody like him and, I don't know, like Dan Lanning even.
Were you great the first time you got in front of a microphone?
No, but
you have
know
to
what I'm
learn
talking
those
about.
things. I know there are certain personalities.
I mean, it's like Craig Counsell isn't good with the media, and Joe Madden is. I think that you don't always need it. I don't think you always need it. I think the Beavers need it, though.
Okay, but if we go down this path, when Nick Saban was fired up, was he great with the media?
No, but he didn't need it because he's the kind of. It's the same thing we talked about if Nick Saban was the one that cursed at halftime, calling out his special teams. It would have been a totally different situation. Trent Bray couldn't do that because he didn't have the cachet. And I think that as much as anything, you need to have somebody in the Beaver situation. If it's Nick Saban doing it at Alabama, it doesn't matter because he's so good and the track record's there. But they need somebody that's going to be somebody that you can believe in, even if it's not necessarily based on things that have happened at the Division I level. You need to be able to look at a coach and say, yes, I see that vision, and maybe that can work at Oregon State.
So if people have been listening to the last 3 minutes of the program, it almost would sound like Justin and I are on opposite sides of this, but surprisingly, we're on the same side when it comes to what we think Oregon State should do in this whole thing.
We can always argue anyway.
It's fun to argue with you. I get you riled up. I poke you a little bit. It's like a little pokey doll.
That's the difference between the Steve programs and the Danny programs.
Is what? I fire you up?
Yeah, we're more like combative.
Brothers. Well, you're young enough to be my son. So,
yeah.
All right. Do I read this now, or do I read
whatever
it later?
You want?
Oh, let me just read it now. You want to do some music underneath, or I just read it? The Grateful Ducks jersey, friends, has landed. Commemorate the upcoming historic Grateful Ducks tie-dye out game with this one-of-a-kind jersey, a tribute to the Grateful Dead and Nike. This campaign is celebrating the shared vision and history in Eugene. Each jersey shoulder, I probably should have read this before I read it on the air, but I'm reading it as I go. So each jersey shoulder features a customized patch celebrating the fusion of Oregon and the Grateful Dead. The iconic Steal Your Face logo, a lightning bolt set within a skull, is reimagined with colors swapped for U of O green and yellow, the skull becoming a duck head and the bottom of the lightning bolt transforming into the recognizable Nike swoosh. These Grateful Ducks jerseys are now available while supplies last at any Ducks store location. They're also available online, but only will be available for shipping and not in-store pickup. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in wearing this jersey to the Wisconsin game, you'll need to stop by one of our store locations to pick one up. That's the Duck Store. Ties to history, dyed to match. The Grateful Ducks collection is waiting for you at the Duck Store. Great supporters of the Danny and Justin radio program as well. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Isaac Street. I'm going to save my Vegas story for the end. Okay. What do you want to ask Isaac? I already told you what I wanted to ask Isaac. What do you want to ask Isaac?
I want to ask him what I think the impact of this committee is going to be. I think that there's some interesting perspectives on the committee and, hey, who are these people connected to and what the actual role is going to be.
What are their interests? Yeah. What are their agendas? All right, we'll hear all that when Mustang Isaac Streeter from the Portland Tribune joins us next on the Danny and Justin radio program, Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. My closest encounter. Am I on? No. Did you not have my microphone on?
I tried to do it, you and me at the same time.
My close encounter with celebrities in Vegas coming up in the last segment. Not going to reveal. You are not going to.
I'm excited about this.
I'll just tell you. If you look at our Twitter feed, Danny and Justin, you'll figure it out.
Oh, wow.
You didn't even look at our Twitter feed?
I'm just looking at it right now.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I
did
look at it, but now you have to figure out which one.
This. But now you have to figure out
which
one.
Either one is really good. That's really impressive.
All right, so here we go. Let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline at 541-343-5673. Yes, I am in studio. And we welcome back the great Mustang, Isaac Streeter from the Portland Tribune. You know him, you love him here on the Danny and Justin radio program. Buddy, hey, so I know it's a little early, but are you cracking a beer right now?
I'm not drinking a beer at 2:30 on a Wednesday. I can assure you that. But,
no day drinking?
For having me on.
No, that's all right. We always love having you on.
Not like in Wrigleyville or anything? Those 1:20 starts? Drinking beer?
I haven't made it out to Chicago yet. I'd love to, though.
You should, absolutely.
I love the, not reaction, but the way you are calmly responding to people in the Twitterverse. That kind of, so for anybody who knows us, we don't take things seriously at all, hardly at all, because we can't, because we're not that serious people. Mm-mm. But if you go to Twitter, I don't call it X, I will never call it X, and follow Isaac_Streeter and go read some of the stuff that was happening this in the last 24 hours. So where did this start? Because you were talking about having a beverage, and some of the folks from Oregon State, some of the fan base from Oregon State were irate at you because of that.
Oh well, irate certainly a stretch, but last night I was at the grocery store just grabbing some stuff and stumbled upon Oregon's partnership with one of the local breweries, Hop Valley, and their new the Dang Green IPA. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It was all right. Okay. I prefer some of their other stuff, but anywho, posted that on Twitter, and I cover both teams, both Oregon and Oregon State, but big readership basis with Oregon State, and the people were not pleased that I haven't found the Oregon State one, and I won't touch on it too much, but people were not pleased that I did my best to calm them down. I guess it's partially my fault for tweeting it, but
no.
They're good people. They're very passionate about their sports teams. And I respect it.
It's been hard to be a Beaver fan this year. They've been kind of, as I think I use the word, disenfranchised. And there's going to be a big hire coming up in the football program at the end of the year. So that's where we're going to start with you, Isaac. Is there any kind of horses we want to bet on in this whole search? Because Justin and I are in agreement that we think Oregon State should go the FCS route, get a good younger coach who kind of has cut his teeth, has had success, understands NIL, understands how to engage a fan base. Not necessarily the biggest name in the world, but somebody who can help build a program. And that's what Corvallis needs right now, is somebody who can rebuild the dam Are we on the right track there, or do you think that they need to go to the old wily vet, somebody else, a little retread who's got a little bit longer in the tooth, but's got a bigger name?
Yeah, I've kind of, I'm in the middle of actually writing an article. I've got 20 names that I came up with.
Okay.
None of them are pulled from anything legitimate just off the top of my head. But, I'll have that out hopefully later today. But, I think you go either route. I think if you want to just hit the hard reset, you go get one of the younger guys from those FCS ranks, maybe a lower tier FBS or a coordinator from somewhere, or you can go get one of those retreads. My brain goes to both the two guys at Cal, Nick Wilovich or Brian Harsin, the former Auburn and Boise State head coach. But I think they can go either of those routes. But what's clear is they just need to reset the program somehow, and I think whichever way they take it, it'll hopefully for them pay off.
And a couple of days ago, Scott Barnes released the head coaching committee members that would be helping with the head coaching search, including Brandon Cooks, Marty Reeser, John Ricci, Mike Riley, among others. So what do you think that the role of this committee is going to really be and the impact that it's going to have?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding from people about what that committee is there to do. Those people are not making phone calls to coaches to try and persuade them. At least, that's what I think. But they're using a search firm to try and find the applications. And I think the people that they've brought on, mostly business people and some folks with, ties to the football program, are more there to be part of the interview process and kind of vet them, see if they'll be the right fit. But I think the trio or the quartet of them are also big name donors. My brain goes to Joth Reese, who's been pretty heavily involved in the basketball program thus far. Kind of with those funding things. I think those people mostly bought themselves a seat at the table and then will, be a part of kind of the interview process and feeling out who the next coach is.
A proud Sac State alum. I always bring that up every time you're on. It's Mustang Isaac
Stingers
Streeter.
up.
Stingers up. Sac State alum, and you can read his musings on Oregon and Oregon State at the Portland Tribune. Follow him on Twitter, Isaac_Streeter. He joins us here on the Oregon Man Clinics Hotline on the Danny and Justin radio program for It's Already Wednesday. I don't know how the week has slipped away from us. One more question on that search committee. There have been, Tim Ewis is the biggest name that came out there, who's really been pushing hard in the media, in the social circles of you need to have more players, more former players involved in this advisory process, because you're right, they're not out knocking on doors and calling people, but whatever Scott Barnes is going to do with them to help advise or guide, it's going to be a piece of it. Do you agree with that? Do you think there should be more ex-player involvement in this process?
I don't see how it could hurt. I don't think that they should, make it exclusively a player thing or just bring in alums. But, I think it's totally reasonable to want to have those names at the table. But, I think Brandon Cooks carries a lot of influence, and it's certainly a good step that he's involved. But I don't have the strongest feelings about the search committee. Like I said, I'm not really sure how much of a factor it ultimately plays in. I think it's Barnes' calls to make at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Isaac, so one more question about Oregon State. We're not going to talk about the process on the field anymore, but this is kind of a process on the field question. Does Rob Akey make it harder on Scott Barnes if, and only if, Oregon State wins out this season? They finish with 5 wins, and then people will start going, well, you could have made this decision earlier, and it would have been But he is not even close to a 500 record as a head coach himself. He's much traveled. He's older. He's got that folksy style. Some people like that in a coach, and maybe the players respond to it. Obviously, they did this past weekend. But interim coaches, can come and go. But does he put his hat, or do you think he's going to put his hat in the ring if they're successful at the end of the year?
I really wanted to ask him about it in his post-game press conference after the Lafayette game, kind of his thoughts on it. The defensive line coach, Coach Tuiaki, has kind of alluded to the fact that Akey might be pursuing the job full-time, but we haven't had the opportunity to ask him yet. It'll be on my docket for Monday, but I think it's a conversation. I don't think it would be the right one. I think he did a good job leading them to a win in which they were favored by 4 scores over Lafayette. And if they went out down the stretch, I'll be amazed. It would be such a massive turnaround for that team that, truthfully, I'd be shocked if they do. I don't think that they will, but it would certainly be impressive and would beg the question. But I think he'll attempt to be involved in the hiring process, kind of either way.
Do you think the Badgers score a single point against the Ducks this weekend?
No. not a chance.
So then, flying off of that, is Oregon now going to assist the 4th different head coach to be shown the door this season? You think this is it for Luke Fickell?
My 0 points thing is more tongue in cheek.
No, me too.
If that Rutgers game was any example, that Oregon team has a kill switch, and if you're in its way, it will move you out of it. And I think they're going to do the same thing to Luke Fickell. Truthfully, I'm surprised he still has a job. I'm not super familiar with the Wisconsin situation, but feels like that's really taken a turn for the worse. And he was so successful at was it
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. Man, they were good there. It's really shocking how far that program has fallen, especially given that I think Paul Christ is going to be a name for this Oregon State job, and they fired him for Fickell. So, how the turntables.
Yeah, and if you want to know about Wisconsin, Justin's going to school you right now.
Yeah, well, I grew up 2 or 3 blocks away from Camp Randall. So it's certainly a program that the athletic director, Barry Alvarez, right now is having a big rift with the fans. Barry Alvarez is the former head coach, longtime head coach for the Badgers, had a lot of success, went to multiple Rose Bowls, and it's not good for the Badgers right now. Their NIL situation is not good. I think that's sort of one of the things that's been a point of contention between the program and the fan base is the NIL situation. And it feels like it's one of those programs that's really been left behind in the new world of college football. They had a really good thing going with the recruiting with the offensive linemen, and they always had running backs. And now under Luke Fickell, it's a totally different situation. They're a spread offense, and they really don't actually even have an identity offensively. Obviously, haven't scored in their last 2 games, both of which were home games. So, like you said, not great for Wisconsin right now. My roots are rooting for them, but it's just it feels like they're going to need to have a new voice there in the head coaching room, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to do that. They came out this week and said that they were putting their chips behind Luke Fickell, so I'm not sure if that's a buyout situation, but right now it doesn't seem like it's actually kind of on the precipice of being a new head coach. So that's the scoop on Wisconsin.
Hey, Scott Barnes said 3 weeks ago he was fully committed to Trent Bray, and look where we are.
There you go.
What's the saying that every head coach is 2 weeks away from being fired or something like that?
I think those are actually the words James Franklin used immediately before he got fired. So.
That's crazy. Isaac Streeter joining us from the Portland Tribune on the Danny and Justin radio program. So let's focus on Oregon a little bit more. Interesting that it came out that Dan Lanning is big, and he has been very consistent with this. It doesn't matter what your NIL deal is. It doesn't matter how highly touted you were at another school and then you transfer to Oregon. You have to earn every snap to see the field if you're an Oregon Duck. That is kind of laid to bear with the announcement this week, or that Dan Lanning revealed that Brock Thomas has elevated to QB2 behind Dante Moore, which was a spot that Austin Novosad was holding on to. And now Austin got hurt. We don't know the extent of it, and never will.
Yeah, we don't get to see practice.
No, we don't, and we don't get to see practices, so we're not sure about that. But I mean, doesn't that? I don't think it surprises me. I know it probably doesn't surprise you, but isn't it kind of also a signal to players that want to come to Oregon that Dan Lanning is true to that word, that every week you have to fight for your job?
Totally. And, I got to be honest, when I heard that Lanning quote, I wasn't in the room, but I do listen to every press conference, either as it's streamed or immediately after, and I rolled my eyes pretty hard at the Brock Thomas thing. I respect Coach Lanning a lot, and I'm going to be looking over my shoulder for, the Nike assassins about this one, but I just don't think he's being truthful. I think Brock Thomas has probably developed into a great quarterback in that system, but I think they're preserving Austin Novosad's and Luke Moga's red shirts, and I believe both have played in 1 or 2 games at this point, and they're saving them down the stretch because those 4 games don't count towards the college football playoff, and so long as Dante is healthy, there's no reason to play anyone else. So keep them healthy and, keep them on ice if need be and preserve those red shirts.
So are you saying that you have a sense that if the season goes the way, of course, the Oregon fan base hope it does with playing in the national championship game, winning the whole thing, and because of the way that Dante Moore's been moving up, big boards, whether you put any stock in those or not, because I certainly don't, that Dante Moore, this might be his first and last go-around for Oregon?
I'm not sure if I'm at that point yet.
Okay.
I do think Dante Moore is going to have a lot of NFL interest this offseason, kind of similar to what Drew Aller had last year, although they're wildly different football players. Mm-hmm. But I think if Dante wants to go to the NFL, he's going to have the opportunity to be a first-round pick if he keeps up this trajectory and ends up having a spot in New York, kind of like I think he will. But I think it's kind of a mixed bag. He still has 2 more years of eligibility if he wants to return. Could go this year and be a first-round pick. He could go next year and be a first-round pick. Could go undrafted in both. Who knows? But I think he'll have the opportunity to become an NFL quarterback this offseason if he wants it. I'm just not totally sure if he does.
This game with Wisconsin, I know that the on-the-field stuff, it's just these two teams. We're not going to learn that Oregon's a better team than Wisconsin. We kind of already know that. So what are you looking forward to learning about this Oregon team against Wisconsin this weekend?
I just kind of like to pay attention to truly their snap counts and their strength in numbers stuff. I think it's obviously a really big point of what they want to do is play a lot of guys. And I think part of that, at least early on in the season, has been they're playing opponents that they're so much better than that they can treat them like FCS games and just kind of unload the bench. So I'd like to see when they're in a tighter game. I'm not saying that'll happen against Wisconsin, but I do just kind of like paying attention to who gets out there on the field when and, kind of their distribution because I think as the season goes on and they get into playoff or championship games, that bench obviously gets shorter to play the best guys. How wide that margin is, it kind of remains to be seen. But those are kind of the things I like to pay attention for is, just kind of personnel substitutions and how well they run the ball and how well they stop it.
Isaac Streeter joining us from the Portland Tribune. We call him Mustang here on the Danny and Justin radio program. A couple more questions and we're going to let you go because it might be at 3 o'clock. Might be. Oh, you're still working. Maybe it's 5 o'clock. You can have some of that dang green IPA. So where is your biggest concern point or pain point in the Oregon defense from this point of the season moving forward? Where do you want to see the improvement on that side of the football?
It's kind of hard to quantify a ton of it, especially after that, after they just boat raced Rutgers for an hour. But when you go back and look at the Indiana game, kind of the points where they struggled, I think they need to, Brandon Finney's been stellar, but they have been susceptible to bigger receivers like Elijah Surratt. And, I think at times they can get pushed around on the defensive line. And so, just kind of seeing them continue to anchor up the middle, especially guys like Bear Alexander and Amori Washington there in the middle are big factors of that, and seeing their continued improvement is kind of one of the bugaboos. But they got to stop the run and finish off games too. I think that was one of the bigger things as well with Dante. I thought he was playing fantastic, and had they won that Indiana game, I think him going to the NFL thing is a lot more serious right now. But, they got to close games, and how he continues to handle himself in those late game, close game scenarios will be very telling kind of going down. But he obviously doesn't play defense, so I kind of got off topic there. My apologies, but you guys get what I'm saying.
No, totally. And just going back to the Brock Thomas situation real quick, it's come to our attention that actually Luke Moga and Austin Novosad already have red shirts. Does that change your math a little bit?
They both have already redshirted.
Yeah, they both already redshirted. Right.
Yeah, I guess that is a failure on my part then to kind of...
No, not a failure. We don't fail on this program.
Sure.
We try hard.
Well, I do have to take some things back. Who knows? Maybe Brock Thomas is just that guy. And, more power to him. Love the local kid story in that regard. But I do think there's, I don't expect...
you wouldn't expect him to be the guy.
I wouldn't expect him to be the guy. I also wouldn't expect Austin Novosad or Luke Moga or one or the other to be on this roster next year if Dante Moore is on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are 100% aligned with you on that. Absolutely. And that's what's kind of tough when you start stacking talent at any position. I mean, look at Oregon's running back room. I mean, there's going to be guys right now that are on the 4 and 5 spot in that depth chart who are really good football players are going to go, I can go to even a lateral move, to a bigger program or step down just a touch and get a whole lot more snaps and a whole lot more touches than I'm seeing right now.
Specifically for that quarterback room, there's only underclassmen. I mean, there's just not going to be the room for people to grow up together because they're going to take each other's spots.
Exactly. And, you kind of see it with JKS. That kid enrolled at Oregon and is now a fantastic freshman quarterback down at Cal. It just goes to show, how deep they are. And with Mekhi Hughes in the running back room, he's a first-team All-American last year and isn't with the program now because he wasn't playing. It just goes to show how well they're recruiting, how good that football program is at churning out premier talent. But, yeah.
Well, Isaac, it's always a pleasure to converse with you about things sports and not sports. So it's the first time that we've talked since it happened. So how are you doing about your Brewers? Are you okay?
It was devastating.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It was certainly a bummer. I joked with my friends that I'm in the camp that Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player who ever lived.
Me too.
I'm not really willing to hear otherwise on it. But he, that performance in Game 4 is going to come up in a lot of GOAT debates with my children one day, and they're going to know that their dad turned that game off after the second home run because I couldn't bear to watch it. And that was truly incredible what they did. And Major League Baseball needs a salary floor immediately.
So I'll just tell you, in the Danny Justin radio program, we were pulling for your Brewers.
Thank you.
No, we weren't. No, I was pulling for your Brewers. Justin had no piece in that whatsoever. I tried to pull him over, but he would just not do it.
After the L flag thing.
Okay. We just remember we beat you in the divisional series.
I know you did.
And ended your year with our coach.
Yep. Yes, you did. Against your former coach. Yes, you got your moment.
Yes. We know the storyline. Isaac, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, man. Have a good rest of the day. All right. There he goes.
Guys, take care.
Yeah, you too. The great Isaac Streeter. We call him Mustang here on the Danny Justin radio program. Lots of Oregon athletic events here locally. For the Ducks, you've got softball tonight starting at 5:30 Western Oregon at the Jane. You've got volleyball tonight at 7 p.m. starting a 2-3. I think it's a 3-match home set. UCLA is tonight at 7 p.m. Then Wisconsin comes to town. What?
Are we going to a break?
Yes, we're going to a break. Right. We have men's basketball against you. I'm just going through the schedule. Men's basketball. We start men's basketball Friday at MKA. When we come back, my celebrity encounter in Vegas. I'll let Justin talk as well. Danny and Justin. Tomorrow on the big program, we welcome back the voice of the Badgers, Matt LePay, and also from ESPN, a returning guest, Adam Rittenberg.
Yeah.
Packed show tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. 2 to 3. And if you do, you go pot us. Danny and Justin. I'm the Danny part of that equation. Right over there is Justin. That's Baby J. That's my tag team partner. Live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Newport and Eugene. I heard it's beautiful on the coast. I don't know who told me that, and it's probably not true.
I feel like it's always beautiful on the coast.
No, it's not.
Every time I've been there, it has been.
Yeah, well, you have that little swath where it's just sunshines and rainbows.
Right. Of course, everybody that's listening on the coast is like, no, it's not, Justin.
It's not. It's raining sideways. No, it was actually really foggy in Seattle this morning, and it was a little foggy here, I've heard, last couple of mornings. Not that you would know that because you're asleep.
No, I was not.
When the fog is still here.
I was not asleep today.
You weren't?
No, I woke up at like 7:30 today.
Okay, so
big program
tomorrow, and then big bets on Friday. We're going to unveil a sponsor for Big Bets. Thanks to sales executive extraordinaire Julie. She wrapped things up. We had a big time video call yesterday with all the folks that are going to be sponsoring the. I don't know what I can say or what I can't say right now, so I'm going to kind of keep it cryptic. So is it tease so people come back and listen?
Exactly.
I mean, got to give them some reason to come back and listen because it's not for you and me.
Never has been.
And we don't make it about us. All right, so had a great time in Vegas with my boys, the Miho Golf Tournament. You've heard me talk about it on this program before. And it was a blast. I had to make the trip. I flew Friday out of here. That's why I wasn't live. I just taped my segment. By the way, I went 4-1. You went 4-1. Goose went 4-1. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
How does that happen? All right, how do I go 4-1 and not make up any games on you guys?
Well, because
it's criminal.
We picked a lot of the same games. That's why. It's right here.
Can I see this real quick?
Yeah.
I might order a recount, although not for mine, for your guys's. So we all picked Iowa. Well, that was an easy one. LSU. Who picked these games, by the way? Was this you? who picked these games? Because it wasn't me.
I think it was.
No,
it was me.
Mims.
Yeah,
it was
you.
You.
It was me.
You don't remember that you picked games?
No, I remember now. Yeah, it was easy.
So Goose had LSU too, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I was the only one that picked Vandy.
I'm really interested to see what he does this week. So yeah, and all the rest of the games. Well then, but you took Utah.
Yeah, that was the only one I missed.
Yeah.
My Kyle Whittingham love just got me in that one.
Yeah. Well,
I just believe in that man.
So again, big bets tomorrow. Big bets on Friday. We're going to do that, and we've got something special for the fans coming up on Friday.
All right, let's hear about your celebrity encounter.
We're playing at a very, very nice course in Vegas called the Circuit, which used to be Rio Seco, and it's like an exclusive. It is a big time course, and we're finishing up our rounds. And all of our teams, because it's Ryder Cup, so we have teams. We have formats where we have teams. So I'm captain this year. By the way, we lost. So the Jacks of Clubs got swamped on the individual matches. Thank you very much. So we're sitting on 18. Our guys finish up, but then one of the guys in our group says, I heard that, and I'm going to say the name here in a second, was here, and he's playing, and I think that's him in the fairway. Coming up 18.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all standing there, and we're all looking, and we're all staring, and we're all standing there, and we're all looking, and we're all staring. And I hear the voice from the fairway, and I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to do it well, but I'm going to do it so you can say it. Say, man, I should have hit that about farther.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds exactly like him, honestly. It is
Chris Tucker.
Pretty good. That's pretty
from Rush
solid.
Hour. And he was a blast. I mean, I got a picture. I'll post it on.
And that's awesome. It looked like he was pretty open with having you guys say
hello. Oh, he was great.
And...
We asked him if he's going to have a new project coming out. He said, yeah, man, I got something coming out. You'll be watching. You'll be seeing it. You'll be seeing it soon. Yeah, brother. Thank you for everything. And the other guy, the big guy there in the blue.
Okay.
Which is a great radio, by the way. Former NFL great Randall Cunningham.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I got to talk to him for a second.
That is very cool.
He's put out a couple of
maybe
LBs.
the third greatest running quarterback of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's
Lamar
fair.
Jackson, Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham. He's kind of the godfather of them all.
So we got to rub elbows with those guys for a few minutes. It was
that
fantastic.
guy's an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a top tier athlete right there.
Yeah. So that was my big Vegas encounter, which was pretty cool. And I'm sure they get that all the time. And it's like, oh man, we're out here playing golf at a kind of a private club. I don't have to get that here because they're probably regulars there. Of course. And then they see us numbskulls out there with all of our matching shirts.
Right.
So, yeah.
I haven't had quite an experience like that. I have seen Anthony Davis before at the Nike employee store, and that was very crazy because it was just like bumping elbows with him, like literally. My sister, I see him, and my sister's looking at me, and she said that she knew I saw someone famous based on my facial reaction. Because it was just like, oh my God, like that is 100% a 6'11" Anthony Davis sitting right there. So it's pretty crazy whenever those things happen. I think you just got to treat them like they're human beings, and you're going to be fine.
Yep. So, Chris Tucker, that was fun, and he was great. And so was Randall Cunningham.
Oh, a joke!
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
Have I done my golf one? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Think so? I think it's pretty appropriate coming off that last
sounds
story,
like it
right?
would be.
Yeah, it would be. Why do golfers hate cake? You're going to have to know a little bit about golf to get this
I don't know.
Because they might get a slice.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of slices of different things besides cake, too.
So when we were playing years ago at Sun River, there were these kids standing up off one of the fairways in the house, and they had signs. And the sign I remember the most was, you want some pepperoni on that slice.
Yeah.
Which was great. The kids were just laughing. We were laughing back at them. Little youngsters, little rapscallions. Tomorrow on the program, Matt LePay, voice of the Badgers. We'll talk Oregon, Wisconsin, what is going on with Luke Fickell. Matt might give us a little insight, I think, if we treat him nice. So stay tuned for that conversation. Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, this guy's got a ton of knowledge.
Absolutely. Oh, he's a great guest.
And Chicago-based, I believe,
correct.
Right? Okay, so we'll have it on the program as well. And you as well. Come on back and join us live from the Bigfoot Beverages studios. Put a smile on your face. Someone else's. They deserve it. So do you. For Baby J, I'm Danny. God bless. Peace.